Behind the Red Line, Episode 13. The Main South Woodsman. The forest remembers what the city forgets. In Worcester, Massachusetts, the woods grow thicker the farther you walk from Main South. At night, the trees seem to lean inward, blocking the moonlight, swallowing sound. Fog rises from the ground like breath. Everything feels watched. Everything feels listening. On some nights, women from the main South streets would disappear into that darkness, following strangers, cars, promises, or desperation. Some walked because they needed the money. Some walked because addiction pulled them deeper. Some walked because the city gave them no other path. And somewhere between the neon-lit corners of Main South and the silent, haunted woods, a predator waited. He moved through the trees like he belonged there. He knew the dirt paths, the secluded clearings, the forgotten dumping grounds. To some, he became a myth, a phantom who lived between civilization and wildness. But he wasn't a myth. He was real. He was hunting women, and the forest hid his crimes for years. Tonight, we follow those trees. We follow the victim's last steps. We follow the investigators who found bones where they expected soil. This is Behind the Red Line, Episode 13. The Main South Woodsman. Main South isn't the part of Worcester tourists see. It's the part locals whisper about. Cramped apartments, flickering streetlights, alleyways where drug deals and desperation meet. Women walked the same few blocks nightly, Park Avenue, Chandler, Main Street. Some sold sex to survive. Some sold to feed addiction. Some had kids waiting somewhere. Some were just hurting. They walked under broken neon signs, past bars that never closed early, past men who watched them from behind car windows, past police who were overwhelmed, understaffed, and sometimes uninterested. In this chaos lived the woodsman, a man who blended in, a man who seemed ordinary enough to be ignored, a man who knew the women's vulnerabilities and used them to lure them somewhere quiet. He didn't need force. All he needed was a moment of trust. The kind of trust desperate situations force people to give. In 2002, a woman from Main South went missing. She wasn't reported immediately. Many women weren't. She struggled with addiction. She drifted between housing. She sometimes disappeared for days at a time. But this time, she didn't come back. Months later, deep in the woods outside Worcester, hikers found skeletal remains. The bones were scattered, weathered, disturbed by animals. She couldn't be identified immediately, but investigators recognized something chilling. She didn't walk there on her own. She was placed there. The forest had kept her secret until it couldn't. Over the next several years, other women vanished from Main South. A woman last seen getting into a car outside a convenience store. Another seen walking toward the woods with a man no one recognized. Another seen arguing with someone in a dark sedan. Another who told a friend she'd be right back and never was. Their families begged police to look. Some officers cared deeply. Some didn't. Some dismissed the disappearances as street life. Some assumed relapse, relocation, jail, or overdose. But patterns don't lie, and the woodsman kept returning to the same hunting grounds. The women who vanished shared three things. They were vulnerable, they were overlooked, and they trusted the wrong man. Between 2003 and 2007, human remains surfaced in multiple wooded areas around Worcester. Some near Asnabumskit Road, some near the reservoir, some near secluded clearings hunters rarely used anymore. Each discovery was similar: skeletal remains, partially buried or left on the forest floor, bones stripped by weather and time, personal items scattered, evidence washed away by rain. Nothing pointed to overdose. Nothing pointed to accident. Nothing pointed to natural causes. These women were murdered. This was a serial killer. Worcester quietly panicked. Leadership denied it publicly, but detectives whispered the truth privately. We have a predator in the woods. The killer didn't shoot. He didn't stab. He didn't leave chaos. He killed the way the forest kills. Quietly, efficiently, leaving almost nothing behind. Strangulation became the suspected method. A silent death, a controlled death, a death that left minimal trace. The bodies weren't dumped carelessly. They were carried, dragged, placed. The woodsman knew the terrain. He knew how to move a body without being seen. He knew which trails rarely had foot traffic. He knew which spots would stay undetected for years. He wasn't impulsive. He was patient. He was comfortable with death. A man who blended Main South Street life with forest instincts. A rare, terrifying combination. One name rose above the rest: Edwin Nate Gonzalez, a man who frequented the Main South sex work scene, a man women said made them uncomfortable, a man arrested for multiple assaults, a man who had connections to woods where bodies were found, a man who fit the profile a little too well. He was convicted of murdering one woman. Detectives believed he killed far more, but the evidence linking him to the other bodies was too degraded, too incomplete, too eaten away by time. So despite being blamed for the killings, the Woodsman cases remained officially unsolved. Some believe he was the killer. Others believe he was one of several predators hunting Main South at the time. Because where society neglects women, monsters multiply. The truth is painful. If these women had come from wealthy neighborhoods, the investigation would have been different. Faster, louder, stronger. But these were women fighting addiction, poverty, and survival. Some were homeless. Some were alone. Some had no one to advocate for them. Their disappearances were not prioritized. Their families were not listened to. Their cases were not connected early enough. The Woodsman succeeded not because he was brilliant, but because the system was broken. He hunted women society had abandoned, and he counted on that abandonment. Today, the woods around Worcester look peaceful, quiet, inviting on a warm day, safe for dog walkers, hikers, families. But if you listen closely, the forest still feels heavy. It still remembers. The air is different where the bodies were found. Colder, thinner, stiller. Locals say the woods feel haunted, not by ghosts, but by injustice, because the killer was never fully named. And someone still knows what happened in those trees. A man is out there, older now, graying, maybe calm, maybe remorseful, maybe still dangerous, who once lured women into the woods and left their bones beneath fallen leaves. The woodsman has never truly been caught, not officially, and the forest is still waiting. The Main South Woodsman walked between two worlds, the streets and the forest, the vulnerable and the forgotten. He took women whose lives were already balancing on the edge, and he pushed them into darkness. The world never bothered to investigate quickly enough. But these women were not invisible, not to their families, not to their friends, and not to us. Tonight, we honor them. We bring their stories back into the light, and we refuse to let the woodsman stay hidden in the trees forever. This is Behind the Red Line, Episode 13, The Main South Woodsman.